Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Outskirts podcast with Tanner and friends. Now, this is going to be a different kind of episode. I reached out a few weeks back to a really great guy named Steve Berg. If you don't know that name, you'd probably recognize his face and maybe even his voice. He's an accomplished character actor and voiceover artist in Hollywood. He's also a writer and comedian. But the reason I reached out to Steve was because he's also the host and producer of one of my new favorite podcasts. It's called Hi, Strangeness. That's H-I. You understand the play on the word there, though. High strangeness. That is a term that we use in our pursuit of the weird. Steve has been on a similar journey for his entire life, basically. I had a really fascinating 2 hour discussion with him, and you can see that entire interview on YouTube. But here for the podcast, I've decided to share two very interesting stories Steve shared with me. I hope you'll enjoy hearing them as much as I did. Here we go. It's really such a blessing when something weird happens, isn't it?
It's great. It's
When
great.
and when you hear these reports, it's like, oh yeah, I'm I have more to ponder than just how am I going to pay this bill and
Yeah.
build this sandwich or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a great weird life.
Yeah. It is. It is. In fact, I have a story that just came in to me yesterday. It's actually from a friend. So my friend's wife was. They had just got a new toaster oven, and so she was taking the old toaster oven and cleaning it, and then she was packing it into a box to take to the Salvation Army. And she took the box, set it outside by her car because she was going to go get groceries, run some errands, and then drop it off. Well, she went upstairs, take a shower, and then she came back downstairs. And her husband, by the way, saw her clean the toaster oven and pack it. Came back downstairs, found the toaster oven, plugged in, and it was dirty like it had never been washed.
What?
All in 20 minutes. And the husband, my friend, saw this thing be washed, cleaned, put in a box, taken to her car. And it was only them home. Their kids were at school. So what does that mean? It's like, is that some weird like time slip? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love the story. And it really like she actually got on the phone and she's not into this stuff at all. She's like, this terrifies me. Do I need to be scared to live in my house now? I'm like, I don't think so. And my buddy
Balthazar.
I said his name, whoops. But
It's fine.
he's kind of like intrigued by it. It's like, oh man, I want you to kind of come over. So I'm gonna go over there and we're gonna try to like poke the bear a little bit. I don't know what we're gonna do. Like I don't use instruments, but like I'm gonna go do it. He was like, come over and do a vibe check. I'm like, you got it, pal. So this weekend I'm gonna pop over because like it really troubled his wife, and I'm trying to put her at ease where I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think you need to be scared to live in your house. Like it's fine. You can just look at it as a lovely little thing, but like they're truly like, how does that happen? And
How
that
do you
is
go on with life? How
yeah,
do I go on living? My reality has just been shaken to the core by a toaster.
right.
What's scarier? That a ghost did that, or like it's some what's that word? Poltergeist phenomenon,
Yeah,
or that
and
it's
that
like a glitch in the matrix and we're living in a simulation and
right.
they're messing with us. Like,
Right, and,
uh,
and and that is typical poltergeist, behavior. Because I mean, a lot of times you hear about books when they talk about poltergeist stuff, like a woman or a man or a woman goes into their kitchen, unloads the groceries, goes out to like smoke a cigarette, come back, all the groceries are packed back up in the bags. That is very common. Like and
yeah,
not, I should say it's not very common. It's common in the poltergeist
yeah.
reports.
Mm-hmm.
All rise. Okay, fine. I see many of you are just going to remain seated. Please turn in your hymnals to story number 2.
In 1957, in Fall City, Nebraska, a man by the pseudonym of Mr. Hanks was driving back with a car full of groceries to his family. And Fall City, I've been there. It's a very tiny little town, but it was even smaller back in the 50s. So he was driving to a neighboring town with a bigger grocery store, more options, and he's cruising back into town, and he kind of notices something up in the air. It looks like a large bird. He's like, well, that's crazy. Maybe it's a blue heron or like, a large hawk or eagle. And then he keeps on driving, but he sees the thing and starts getting lower. And he's like, that is a huge bird, like really, really big. And it looks like it's having some trouble flying. Like it's kind of like dipping, like far. It looks like it's like wobbling. And so he kind of slows his car down to like an idle, looks up, and he sees a 9 foot long creature that has like tan, leathery skin, piercing blue eyes, no hair, and it has wings, but not like the Mothman where they're organic wings that are part of his body. It has like a shoulder strap harness with a little computer on its chest with knobs and buttons. This is in 1957, mind you, before, like this sort of technology was household. But it looked kind of like, definitely like not human to this man. And he sees this thing and it's like having problems like flying. And it gets really low to the ground, like right above the pavement. It's like hovering there, all bouncy and weird. And the man steps out of his car, starts walking towards it. Then he gets paralyzed, like physically paralyzed. He can't move, talk, blink, or anything. And this creature like stares at him, finally twists the knob on his thing. All of a sudden it can fly again and slowly drifts off and then zooms off. And the man becomes unparalyzed. And this was such a horrible experience for this man that he said he could not really sleep the rest of his life. He actually got a second job, like a night shift job. So he's like, I might as well be making money because every time I sleep, all I see is this creature. And it troubled him to the day he died. And I love this case because I love flying winged humanoids that aren't the Mothman. I love the Mothman too. But the flying winged humanoid phenomenon is something that I think every state has. But this one is just so deeply weird and absurd and surreal. It's almost kind of comical. Not the trauma that happened to the man, but like I can't imagine seeing a 9-foot long creature that looked almost like, I guess, for lack of a better term, demonic or whatever. Like it looked like a monster.
Yeah.
With a with a piece of technology strapped to it. Like you really don't hear that often. That especially in the 1950s where it had like a computer motherboard on its chest that was like operating it. So
I'm
it's like
seeing images of like Space Ghost. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, and that, I mean, it's just so weird. And I've actually been able to speak to he's pretty old now, but the investigator in Nebraska who took that case did a lot of follow up with this guy the rest of his life, and the guy like stuck to his story. He's like, it was traumatized. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me. It like kind of ruined his life, unfortunately. But I love the case. I love the story. I always tell it every time I do a lecture because it's just like it got a special place in my heart because it kind of ticks all the boxes. It's just so deeply strange and unusual, and it's weird. And there's not like a precedent for this kind of entity to have been seen. To my knowledge, I haven't discovered it. Now there's been things sort of similar since then, but prior to 1957, I can't find a case that is even close to being similar to that.
I'm so freaked out right now. Me too. All right. Thank you, Steve, for those great stories. And thank you, friends, for listening. We'll catch you on the spooky side this Halloween. Oh, and one more thing. Please, we want to hear from you. Email, voicemail, text. We've made it really easy for you to reach out and share. And we do want to hear your story. Just in case you're feeling nervous or perhaps you're afraid that people will think you're just a little too weird. Let me remind you, you can be as anonymous as you please. And I promise, you can't be weirder than me. To prove it, here's another clip from the YouTube video. When Steve got up to use the restroom, I relieved myself as well with my version of a classic song from UFO Phil. Don't worry about the backmasking. In this instance, it's not satanic. It's just weird. Cheers, friends.
Do you mind if I go to the bathroom really quick?
Please, yeah.
What's it?
Well, I never knew that my girlfriend was a Martian. Even while I sleep, there are Martians watching me. I turn on my radio in the middle of the night, and I learn things I need to know. Now I can see the light. You saw on it, and I also see a ghost.
Classic UFO Phil.